Several years ago, I had the opportunity to travel to El Salvador with an organization called Tools for Opportunity. The goal for Tools for Opportunity is to supply tools and education to local carpenters so that they could support their own families and communities. I thought it would be nice to come up with a simple project that the carpenters could build during the class so that they could learn how to use power tools and important design characteristics in woodworking. So I thought I'd show you how I designed this rack in SketchUp and how I took that information then to the shop to build it. I want to step through the design process and my thoughts on this coat rack. I wanted to make it simple to build, so I started with simple shapes. Here I'm going to start with the ends. They're going to be 3/4 inch thick by 5.5 inches wide. And I don't know, for length, let's just go for 10 inches. I thought, well, let's put a little visual interest on this. So I thought maybe I would put a cutout here, an arc cutout, like so. I'll push pull that. I'm using the professional version of SketchUp. Your mileage may vary. It may look a little different on the free version, but you should be able to accomplish the same thing on your version. So here's what I thought would look good for the end of the shelves. So I'm going to go ahead and triple click on that and make that into a component and call it end. So I need to copy that to the other side. Now the question is, how long should I make this? And that is entirely up to you. For me, the one I'm making has to fit a particular space in my home. The space in my home will accommodate about a 38-inch long shelf or wide shelf. So I'm going to put a construction line in here and go along the red axis 38 inches. And now I can move this guy to that line, and I have 38 inches between them, or 38 inches end to end. Okay, so those are the ends. Let me go ahead and put a color on these just to make them easier to see. I've actually got a material that I've used that I developed just by taking a photograph or using a photograph and making a new material. And that's something you may or may not be able to do in the free version. And I realize the grain direction here is wrong, but we'll address that at some point in the future. All right, so I've got the front of my shelf, or the ends of my shelf done. I need to figure out the structure of it. So I thought for the back, I would use a 1x5 here. And I'm going to use the push-pull function to drag that across to here. And I'm just going to call that, I'm going to make that a component. I'm going to call that the peg rack, because this board is where the pegs will actually be mounted to hold the coats or hats or whatever it is you have. So I'm going to put a shelf in here. I'm going to make it the same width as the ends, which is 5.5. So it'll be 3/4 inches thick by 5.5. And just like I did for the back, I'm going to use the push-pull command and drag that over to this edge of the end. And I'm going to triple click on that and make that component. I'll just call that the shelf. Go ahead and add some material. So that's starting to take shape now. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the axes just to make things a little clearer, and I'm going to delete the guides for right now. Don't need those. Now for the top, I think I want a 1-inch overhang on the ends and the front. And the way I do that is I come in here and I'll just go ahead and draw a rectangle from corner to corner, use the push-pull command, and we're going to make a top that's 3/4 of an inch thick. And then I'll come down to the end and extend that 1 inch, come down to the front, extend that 1 inch, and come down here and extend that 1 inch. So that's what the top looks like, but it's kind of boring that way. So I thought maybe I would put a profile on here. And to do that, I'm going to use the follow me command. So I got to draw some guidelines in here. I want the top edge to be a 1/4 inch radius and the bottom edge to be a 1/2 inch radius. I'll draw some guides in here. There's my 1/4 inch, my 1/2 inch radius, come up from the bottom edge, 1/2 inch radius, and this should be a 1/4 inch. So I'll go in here and draw some arcs. And I'll draw the 1/2 inch arc. And we end up with something that looks like this. I should be able to use the push-pull command, or I'm sorry, the follow me command, to extrude that all the way around the 3 edges. Let's see if I can do the same with the 1/2 inch. There we go. Now I've got this ugly line on the front. So I can just go into my erase command, hold the shift key down, and it'll just get rid of that line without erasing anything else. It's a handy little trick to have to clean up your drawing. So I'll put a material on that. Oops. Let's go ahead and make that a component. So I'll call that the top. And put a material on it. And that pretty much completes the structure, except anything I hang on the wall, I like to include a hanging rail. Now, obviously, we can fasten this to the wall through this piece here on the bottom, but I need to include, I'd feel better if I included a hanging rail at the top. And it's just going to be, about 1.5 inches or so in length, like so. And I'll use the push-pull command to drag that over to this edge. Make that a component and call that the hang rail. And apply a material to that. So now I've got a place to anchor this to the wall through both the top, and if I feel like it's necessary, I can do it at the bottom also. Winter coats, if you're in a cold climate, can get rather heavy, so you make sure you want to secure this to the wall in such a way that those aren't going to pull the shelf off. All right, so the only thing I've got left to do now is add the pegs to this rail at the bottom. And to do that, I used the 3D Warehouse, which is available with your SketchUP account. And I just did a search for shaker peg. And you'll find a variety of them. You can click on it and download it to your model. And then just place it. Now the origin point that they include is sometimes random, so you just have to place it and then you can fine-tune that later. Alright, so I know that this shaker pig has a 1/2-inch tenon on the end, so I need to put 1/2-inch holes in this rail to accommodate the peg. So I'm going to draw a guideline here that's at the midpoint of that rail, and I'll come in. I'm going to put a peg right in the center, so I'll put one there. Now I've got the intersecting point where I can put in a 1/2-inch diameter hole, and of course the radius on that is 1/4, and then I can push pull that to create the hole. But before I do that, I want to make the holes or define the circles for the rest of the pegs. Now for mine, I want to make them 5 inches apart, so I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to use the move command and hold the control and hit the control key to make a copy. And I'm just going to grab the center of that circle, and we're going to come out 5 inches, and I want to tell it I need 2x, 2 of those or 3 of those. So you just type in 3x and it goes ahead and copies the rest with a spacing of 5 inches. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to select that, use my move command with the control key, select that, and come along the red axis 5 inches, and I want 3 of those. So now I can go in here and use my push-pull command to extrude that through a full 3/4 inch. One trick with SketchUp is that once you do that with one push-pull command, the next push-pull command assumes that you want to go the same distance, so all you really need to do is double-click on the area, and it will extrude those the same distance as the first one. And now I have my peg rail all set. All I need to do now is place my shaker pegs. So that can be a little tricky. So what I do is I go in here and I change the face style to X-ray temporarily, and I use the move command and go to the endpoint that the author of this shaker peg is defined, which is really the center. Let's see if I can grab the center of that. I'm not sure I'm there, but let's go back to our normal view and see what happened here. Yeah, we're not even close. So maybe an easier way to do this from the back. Grab that and hover over the circle, and it finds the center. Problem is the tenon's not a full 3/4 inches thick, so just visually I'll grab this peg and I'll pull it in the green direction until I see the shoulder right here along the edge. Okay, so I've got one peg placed. I need to copy that across the rail. So I'll select that, hit the move command, control key, and I can just pick some random point, doesn't matter, and copy that over, say 5 inches, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, so I'll do 6x, and it completes the installation of all those pegs. And I can go in here and assign material to those if I want. So with all that done, I now have all the dimensions I need to take this out to the shop and make all the pieces and put it together. The only tricky part is the top profile We use a 1/4 inch round over bit at the router table for the top edge and a 1/2 inch round over bit for the bottom edge, just to create this profile on the front. So with that information, you're set to go out to the shop and start building.